welcome to the Animal Training Academy Making Ripples podcast show, the show where we share the stories of the ripple-making extraordinaires with behavior nerd superpowers who make up the Animal Training Academy membership. I'm your host and one of the happiness engineers at Animal Training Academy, Shelley Wood from Drop Your Jaws Dog Training in Cape Girardeau, Missouri in the United States. We're absolutely thrilled and grateful to have you here with us today. Make sure you go ahead and hit that subscribe button so that you don't miss a single episode. This show is brought to you on behalf of the Animal Training Academy membership. So if you like the conversations in these episodes, then we want to invite you to continue them with like-minded people in the ATA membership, which you can find out more about at www.atamember.com. Within the membership, you can get access to twice monthly live web classes, the back catalog of previous web class replays, plus a huge library of videos and projects to help you problem solve your training challenges. And we're a sociable bunch with an exclusive private Facebook group and forums area. It's like a Netflix social media platform for animal behavior geeks. Today, we are excited to welcome Raoudha Mairos, dog trainer and behavior consultant, to the show. Raoudha Mairos is a dedicated dog trainer and behavior consultant with a passion for understanding and improving the lives of animals. She is the founder of Sunny Paws, a dog training business offering one-to-one coaching. Her expertise lies in helping dogs and their owners build confidence, trust, and a stress-free bond. Expanding her impact, Raoudha co-founded Global Animal Experts, a platform that connects animal professional experts in the French-speaking community through educational courses and webinars. With a mission to make expert insights accessible in French, she is committed to helping both pet owners and professionals create happier, healthier lives for animals. Beyond training, Raoudha is constantly learning and sharing insights about animal behavior, including human, canine nutrition, and emotional well-being, aiming to empower pet guardians with knowledge and practical solutions. When she's not working with dogs and their owners, Raoudha enjoys reading, playing board games, solving puzzles, gardening, and spending time with family and friends. She is a proud mom of 2 amazing human kids and the S Squad, her beloved dog, Summer, and 3 cats, Snow, Simba, and Savannah. Welcome, Raoudha.
Thank you. Thank you for inviting me.
Yeah, I'm super excited to have you here today. And I think I see a member of the S Squad behind you. Which one?
Yeah, actually 2.
2?
You have like Snow over there.
Okay.
And Summer here on at the window.
Wonderful, wonderful. Well, maybe we'll see Simba as well before this day is
Simba
out.
And Savannah. Yeah.
Well, again, Raoudha, thank you so much for joining me. I'm really excited to have you here with us today. And I would love it if you could start us out today by sharing a little bit about your story with us, how you started working with animals and how you spend your days with them today.
Ooh, that's a big story because actually my story started with the fact that I was really terrified of dogs. Like not just scared, but like terrified, like crossing the road and putting my husband in front of me, kind of terrified. And the same, cats never, like we didn't understood cats. No, cats were not really interesting for us at the beginning. And at the point when we had our 2 kids, I was doing the same thing, crossing the road with them, not letting them approach the dog or anything, interact with dogs. And my husband was like, oh, okay, it's one thing if you are scared of dogs, but it's another thing if you are giving it this fear to the kids. Then he decided, I was like, are you sure about that? And, like having like a new kid, human kids, you are reading about it and you want to know the best before the human baby arrive. I did the same with dog for our dog, Sunny. Look, we decided when we arrived in London, because we lived before in Hong Kong and Dubai, and we didn't want it to have the dog in Dubai because it's too hot and they are not allowed everywhere. And we felt like it was not a real good place to have like a dog over there. Donc we decided to, as soon as we moved back to Europe and we moved to London, we said, oh, let's get a dog. Donc I did my research, like with a little knowledge I had, I did my research, and we find like a beautiful family breeder who bred the golden retriever, and she had both parents at home. And we met the parents, we met the puppies, and we fell in love with Sunny. And when I say it to you, like the dog changed my life, you know, sometimes we say, oh, the dog changed. He literally changed my whole life. We started having Sunny in September 2011. And I was working at that time, I was working as a supply teacher in a French school. And I did I think like many owners do, I went to puppy training with him. I started to learn more about training, and I was amazed by everything about dogs, by their body language, by why the dogs were jumping on me, why the dog will run after like a kid's running, why, you know, and understanding better. And I'm like, oh my God, I missed out a lot when I was young, being scared of dogs, when I should have just be more understanding them, you know. That was a pure revelation for me. And then everything turned around Sunny, you know. And then I changed career. Look, I totally, I did like many jobs in my life, but as soon as I started like interacting with Sunny and actually his friend, like when he was doing like dog walking with his dog walker, it totally changed. And I started to say, I said to my husband, I think I will change. I think I will start my own business of dog walking. As scary as it is to start your own business, because it's something like to say, like, oh yeah, I will become a dog walker and work for someone, or okay, now I will start becoming an entrepreneur, you know, at the age of 32 or something like that. Everything changed. And I became a dog walker. I started walking dogs every day, and it was a life-changing style. And for example, like I noticed that my husband needed a lot of, you know, holidays because of his work, and I never felt like, oh, I need some holidays, because you're always out, you're always walking, you're always, you know, and picking up you know, your client dogs being happy and running, and it was life changing. But as you can imagine, this one came with, many dogs have different personalities, with different body language, with different, you know, and you want to learn more about it, and you want to become the best dog walker, and you want to become better at your job anyway. I did a lot of dog training course and dog behavior course, and then many of my friends were, why are you not becoming a dog trainer? But I'm like, but I love the dog walking. I love like picking up dogs. I love like going and being out all day. So like, yeah, but you can help them as well. You know, you can help some dogs as well. I was like, okay. They recommended me to some of their clients, and I was going after my walking days. I was going like during the evening or the weekend. I was doing some one-to-one session, and you're like, it's always like you hear that a lot, but it's always like you have the imposter syndrome and say like, boy, am I enough good? You know, am I good enough for the job? And when you realize like you really can make a difference, like many people don't know what we know, you know, you realize like, actually, I can change the life of some dogs and their humans. Okay. And then you continue like becoming a junkie on courses and courses, and a junkie on, you know, like workshops and and I started to want to always know. I think like many of our industry, we always want to know more, and I have like one of the best quotes I love. It's like, when you know better, do better. And that changed everything. I'm like, I'm living through these quotes, you know, I'm like, yeah, I need to do better every time. That's how I become a dog trainer right now.
That is wonderful. Thank you for sharing all of that with us, including about your original fear of dogs. And I was going to ask you, I'm so glad you mentioned that about cats too, because when we spoke before, you shared with me about your fear of dogs, but I didn't ask you about your experience with cats before. So when did cats come into your life? Sunny was your first introduction to dogs. And so who was your first introduction to cats?
Cats. Look, I will say to you, like, because cats are, and it was my husband and I, don't, it was not one of us who was like a cat person, I will say. Both of us didn't really understood cats, and we're like, are they like? It's difficult to know if a cat is friendly, not friendly, if we can touch them, not touch them. Like it's really different, like as than the dogs. And two cats make a big, huge difference. One was a stray cat in our road that was coming to our house and came and wanted some cuddle. And you can see literally like, on your leg and like touching your leg and between your legs. And you're like, okay, you need some affection. And then this cat changed a lot. It was a ginger cat. Um, and it was funny. We had like always cuddled, and he was fed by some people in the road. And they told us, they're like, we are feeding him, no need to feed him. Okay, cool. And he was fine, and he was healthy. Then this one, and as well, like one of my clients' dog, like my dog training clients' dogs, had a cat as well. And I saw the interaction between the cat and the dogs, and I'm like, oh my God. And the cat was so sweet, like really sweet. And that make us think with people said, oh my God, cats are nice as well. And then one day we decided like, oh, it would be cool to have cats as well. It would be cool to understand them and to be able to the same get out of our way of thinking like, oh, we can't understand cat and let's get away from cat. Then having kittens at home. We in 2018 we contacted some rescue center to have cats, and we find the rescue called Cat Cuddles, and they say like, oh, okay, you can't take just one cat, you need to take two cats. And we're like, okay, we didn't thought about that, but yeah, let's take two cats. It will make more sense if they need to stay together and everything. And we find like Snow and Simba, and it was such a good addition of our family that, and we had them like we were lucky, like we had them from kitten because the cat could all find the mom stray cats pregnant, and the mom went to a foster home with having like delivered six babies, and including like Snow and Simba, and we got them when they were 10 weeks old. And we learn the same as dogs. I starting to read about cats, to understand cats, and there is like way less books and training for cats. Like you really need to dig a little bit more for getting the information you want for cats, and that's interesting as well. Like that's properly interesting. And then Savannah was Mrs. Savannah. We find her in the street, bless her, last year. And she was small, like tiny, but and we went to the vet, check everything, and we said like, okay. And we learned the same night. We learned like there was like two other kittens found dead like near us. We said like maybe someone just left like all the litter, which is sad. But Savannah is well at home. She's a queen of the house now. Yeah.
Something that you were sharing just now when you were talking about cats reminded me of something that you shared earlier when you were talking about dogs too, that really stood out to me. And you keep talking about the need to understand these animals. And you mentioned with dogs that you, instead of being scared of them, you started seeking to understand them, understand how they communicate, how they, what their personalities are like, how they behave. And it sounds like you were really seeking a similar understanding with cats as well. And I love that because I think there is some really important lessons in there for all of us, even if we're not scared of a specific species, about the way that we approach learning about them and living with them. And I think probably lessons that even go beyond how we live with companion animals. So I appreciate you talking about that.
And actually, like it's funny because now with all, there is one course, like one course each year I'm doing. It's like zoo training. Okay, I go to zoo with Joe Mason and Jim Mackey. Okay, I go to do like some zoo training, and it's funny because sometimes we train. Obviously, sometimes we train like different animals, different species, like monkeys and or different like red panda or different giraffes, and every time with a full of dog trainer, actually a room of dog trainer, the first question we ask is what is a normal behavior for that species, and it's so important for us to understand them and understand like their body language, or understand like what is okay in their behavior or not okay, and to understand each species we are working with, and I think like I think it's the key of like, if you know how a cat or a dog's react, or the body language, or everything, it's the bond between you and them, and the understanding more they more they are like, okay, human, you understand me when I'm saying that, or I'm telling that, it's cool, then we have a good relationship, um that's so important.
And is that something in your work with people and the dogs that they live with? Is that something that you find yourself working on or spending quite a bit of time focusing on, is navigating the communication between the different species, kind of teaching people about what their dogs might be trying to say to them?
Exactly. And for example, like the most difficult part is like when owner have expectation of like for a dog or a cat, but as really expectation which doesn't suit with what they're saying, with what the animal is saying, And when you try to open their eyes, like, no, but the animal is telling you he doesn't want to do that, or he wants to do that, and then teaching them by watching their dog body language, and make them understand like what does it means, look, like the most common one we see, it's like yawning, like when a dog is yawning and say like, oh, my dog is tired, I'm like, not in that case, like it can be a tiredness, but right now is a bit like anxious, but they don't see it like that, and it's come back again, like when you know better you do better. As soon as you open their eyes of like their different body language of their own dog, um, then they have a way better understanding and have a lot of empathy, and then that opened a brilliant door for being able to train their own dogs, like a brilliant door. Yeah.
I love that. I love starting with really, it sounds like what I'm hearing you say anyway, is really starting with teaching guardians about the specific ways that the animal they live with might be trying to communicate with them, so that they learn to kind of listen to them and understand them. And I found myself wondering too, if you think that there are things that we as a society have, maybe expectations that we as a society have maybe put in people's heads as far as what they think their dogs should be or how they think they should behave. And if maybe by focusing, if maybe by kind of focusing on those communication skills, that's a doorway in there to help them shift some of those expectations.
Yeah, no, definitely. For example, in my case, in my personal case, I had 3 dogs, Sunny, Sky, now my late dogs because they passed away, both of them, and Summer, like you saw. Um, and each one of them, and it's always the same thing, like you train the dog in front of you, and you train the dog to be like living in your house, living in your life, and having an understanding of like what they can do and what they can't do. Like it's more like, I will say, like not about training now. I'm talking about education. Like you educate your kids like in life, you educate your dog like, but keeping in mind that their needs as well. They have needs. They have feelings. They have emotion, and also know what they want. And if I take like the example of my three dogs, it's like three proper different personalities. And uh, if I was stubborn, like if I can label that like that, and I was like, oh, I want all my dogs to do this and to do that, and that will not work. Like that absolutely will not work with my three dogs. Sunny was a gentle giant, and he was like, "Mommy, as long as you have food and you want me to do something cool." And he was, he was old, like young. And it's funny when I say that, but at the age of one, before he was like a proper teenager, and he had like his teenager phase. And I remember like at 1 years old, and Sunny was my first one. Okay, I remember like at 1 years old, Sunny was really cool, quiet, calm. And I went to the vet, and I'm like, something's wrong with my dog. Something is not going right. He was like, zooming before, and and he's like, oh, okay, your dog is becoming like an adult dog. And I'm like, yeah, but it's really calm. And from young age, Sunny was, Mommy, what you want me to do? As long as you have food, it's fine. And we had and I did like a lot of training with him. And we had like such a good understanding that I didn't have to talk most of the time. Like he was just like following me, and like, we had like such a good bond. And then Sky arrived, and Sky was a border collie, and totally different breed than golden retriever. And Sky was quite in a good way, and challenging me to become better trainer, because he was faster on his thinking, faster on like doing some behavior that I had to keep up. Look, he made me become better handler, better at my, when we were training, at my body language as well, and try to not do mistakes. Look, I was trying to put as much thought of like antecedent arrangement before I was starting like training with Sky, because I'm like, this dog can go so fast. I need to keep up on his learning. Okay. But that was another word, because he was like, yeah, Mommy, like, let's train. And he was enjoying the training so much. If I was just like taking the clicker in my hand, or he was so good and loving like shaping games. He was loving some sense. Okay, I went and did like way more training with him, like different training than I did with Sunny. Sunny was more for, yeah, let's live together and let's train to be together. And Sky was like, okay, my brain needs like a lot of things, like make me do things. Okay, I did like sense work with him. I did like many of other things, and he was enjoying every minute of it, and I was enjoying it as well, because I was, oh my god, it's such a good experience. And Sunny still obviously training Sunny, but Sunny was like, I was calling him like a slow thinker, where he need to assimilate. Look, I needed to slow down with him. I needed to cut small parts with him. Look, I became myself another trainer for Sunny, another trainer for Sky. And then little monkey here, Summer arrived, and another game, like it's another word. Look, first of all, Summer has bless her heart, she has like a lot of health issue. Look, I rehomed her when she was something like 5 months old, and she had like some health issue. Look, I remember like trying to train her from the beginning, but she was itchy and she was nibbling herself, and I'm like, okay, you don't enjoy it, and I think like your health is more important. Okay, totally focus on her health first. And even if you, like everyone, like even people who say like, oh no, I don't train my dog. Everyone train their dog, because it's like Chirag or Eva will say like a liquid training. When you do something, they learn something, and it's, you train your dog every day. Look, I was not scared about like not doing session with her, like proper session, but she was learning. We were learning together to live together, all the family together, and having like a good relationship with her. But my focus was, let you get you back on health, like let's have like focus on your health first. um and I did that like that. And I remember like every time, like if I train summer, if I do like, oh, let's do a quick session, darling. um when she's not in a mood, or when she doesn't like, like what she doesn't like, she's a bit frustrated when we do shaping. I'm like, okay, should I go, slower? Should I go faster with her? And there is things where she's like, yeah, I'm not interested in that. I'm not. Look, it's just like learning like what your dogs love to do as well. Look, as long as with Summer, like she's great. She has a good recall. We go on a walk. We travel with her. Look, everything in our life, well, it's working well for all of us, her included. She's like, yeah, don't bother me with that. Like, oh yeah, I want to do some sand game, but let's do some short training of sand game. But I discovered like with her, not at all the same game. Like we are not enjoying like proper training session, but more like let's work on our communication. Okay. Look, for example, which for me was also a new knowledge. Like, for example, I will more ask her what she wants. And because she has a lot to say, Summer, I was like, okay, let's try to have like the best communication as we can. Look, she was training me as much as I was training her. Look, she comes to me. Look, when she wants something, she comes to me now and she call me like on me or anything like, Mom, Mom, I need your attention. And as soon as she got my attention, I ask her, I'm like, okay, that our question is like, what do you want? And I started like capturing small behavior that she was doing. Look, for example, if she was licking her lips, I'm like, oh, okay, you want to chew, you want food, like, look, I was straight away going and get her something to eat or something to chew. If she was walking towards the door, I'm like, oh, okay, you need to go out. And because I was repeating constantly the same, I was consistent of her behavior she was offering, and my cue, then she totally understood. Like, now we have a proper communication on like, okay, if I put my paw forward, I need that. If I put, I go to the door, I need that. If I go and pick up a toy, I need to play. The, I totally changed the way I'm training with her. Like, it's more like, okay, let's have a two-way communication here. And it's working well. But as I say, like, it's all dogs are 100% different. And well, 100%. I don't know about 100%, but they are different, and we need to think about what they need. I had like for example, I have a client, and they have like a working cocker, a cheeky working cocker, and I love that. And they say like, oh, Raoudha, I want to teach her. Like, I can't understand like why we can't walk her off lead. I'm like, because she has like proper predation drive. Like, if she sees a fox or a squirrel, she will just run on the road. Just like, yeah, but the dog, the working cocker of one of our neighbor, he's just walking off lead. And I'm like, okay, great. And I'm like, but we want to do the same. And I'm like, she's not ready. And in her personality, she can't do that. Like, it's really tough for her. Even like walking on loose lead walking. And I see that a lot with Spaniels more than other breeds. I see that like Spaniels, as much as smart they are, sometimes they act like, yeah, but it's properly difficult to walk loose lead walking, And it's just about their body language, They say like, okay, all dogs, they can do like loose lead walking really great. But some of them, not all of them, but some of them will, have a different body language. They will curl a little bit and like try to walk slowly. And you can see the effort they have to do to walk at the same speed of the human, And like, bloody human, you walk so slow. For me, it's a no. It's like, if the dog is changing totally his posture and it's not a good posture for his growing or for his health, I'm like, okay, let's not do that. Let's teach the dogs to not pull on a lead and like have a really loose lead, but not just close to you, or forcing them to walk at a speed where it's not they can't manage yet. Yeah, it's a really learning for everyone. Yeah. Sorry.
No, you're great. I love your focus on all of the different animals as individuals, and also your focus on how training or teaching or living together, learning together is a two-way street. So both of those things are things that really stuck out to me when you were talking, and I love that. I wonder if you could share with us now about a training situation that a training challenge that you've experienced, how you worked through it, and some of the lessons you learned from it.
Ooh, okay. Okay. Like there is like you face so many challenges in your dog training life, like so many. But I will say like first of all, that there is one who was a big open eyes for me. Look, I told you like sometime I go for training in a zoo with Joe Mason and Jim Mackey, and one day I was doing a training session with a giraffe, and it was my first time like training with a giraffe. And Jim, thank God, thank God someone was filming me at that time. And Jim was coaching me to do things with the giraffe, and the giraffe was doing great. And Jim was trying to coach me to do something else, like to improve and go forward on the training. And I was listening, I was hearing him. I was in my bubble of excitement and like, oh my God, unbelievable! I'm training a giraffe right now. That I didn't listen to him properly. And okay, long story short, like at night, I watched the video, and I was so glad someone filmed it, because I watched the video and I can see he was telling me to do things. And I was like almost ignoring him and doing something, like continuing doing the same thing, or like, and I watched the video again, and I'm like, oh my God, it's like I was ignoring him, and it was not my intention at all. But the next day I went to see him, and I'm like, oh my God, I'm so sorry, Jim. I watched the video, and you were giving me like really good short instruction, but I was not following them. But I just wanted to share with you, I was so much in my bubble that I was not listening what you were saying. I was like hearing like you were talking, but I was not listening your advice, and your coaching. But it was not, I was not ignoring you. And it was, oh, it's interesting. And I'm like, but now it's open eyes, because sometimes I was finding the same thing when I was training with my clients and their dog. When I was coach some of my clients and they don't follow my instruction, I'm like, why are they not following? But they are so absorbed by training their dog, and it's working, and they are like, oh my God. And sometimes I try to change the training and like improve, like they continue like improving what they are doing, but they are doing the same thing. And I was like, why are they ignoring like what I'm saying? And now by experiencing the same thing, I'm like, I understand now. And I said to Jim, I'm like, you know what, if something like that happen again, touch me, like touch my shoulder and say like, Raoudha, can you listen to me, please? Because I was totally in my bubble. But that was eye-opening, and I'm like, oh, okay. Then I know what can happen with my client on my client's head, and they are so focused on something that they are hearing me but not listening to what I'm saying. So sometimes I just need to stop, focus on myself. Yeah, focus on me, guys, and then let's do something else. And I give instruction before we start again. But that was a really eye-opening for me. That was one of the challenge. Yeah.
What a revelation. Yeah. I could, as you were talking about having that experience, of course, I immediately thought of working with people and telling them things and watching them do something completely different, But what a way to get a lot of empathy for that. And so, could you say, you started to talk a little bit about it then just now, I think, but could you say a little bit more about how that experience impacted your behavior moving forward with clients and maybe some specific things that you did that might help other people who are struggling with the same thing, giving instructions, not seeing it followed, if you have tips for how to deal with that based on your experience?
But yeah, but with my experience now, one, I'm trying to when myself I'm being trained or being coached to really focus and ground myself and listen to what he's saying. But sometimes like I really find it hard when you find that you train a lemur or you train like another animal or even like a dog where it like is looking with your his little puppy eyes, and sometimes he's so focused on what you're doing. Look, sometimes it's okay. Like I want to say, like it's okay to just be in your bubble and then have a break. And I'm like, oh my god, how like is it okay? Like is it fine? And have like some feedback and take the feedback like properly. And sometimes like trying to focus on like, okay, I have my excitement and feeling, but I need also to focus on what the coach is saying. That is for my part, like being trained. But when I train now my clients, I try to do short session, really short one, where I'm telling them in advance, okay, we'll do 5 repetitions of this one, and then we will stop. Okay. And like this, it's just like they're exciting. They do 5 repetitions, and then they focus back on me instead of like going and going again if I don't say it before. And I try to give like really short instructions and say like, okay, we will change that now, and then do 5 repetitions of that, and then we add something else. Okay, now try and do 5 repetitions of this one as well. Look, yeah, I think I'm doing that more. Or sometimes I will call them name for them watching me instead of continuing talking through. I will call their name, and as soon as I have their focus, then I said, now you can try to add that, and that's working better. But now that I understand what can happen in the head of someone being trained, yeah, as you say, I have more empathy, and I'm like, okay, you need to focus and to train the human in front of you as well. And it's so true for so many reasons. Most of the time, our job is not to train the dog, but the human, and we need to train the human in front of us.
Great advice. I love the suggestions to kind of keep it short, do a few repetitions, then take a step back and focus, and keeping instructions. And I think if I heard you right, changes to criteria, keeping those things to like 1 or 2 at a time, and instructions really short. So kind of reminds me of some of the same principles that we would use to train our own dogs.
Exactly.
Wonderful. Oh, I'm also curious because it sounds like video was part of what helped you see what was going on in that training session with the giraffe. Do you ever use video in that way with the human clients that you're working with so that they can review themselves?
Okay, always often tell them video yourself. And actually, because I give them homework, I keeping like my supply. When I was like a teacher, like a supply teacher, I'm like, I give homeworks. I give bloody homeworks. Okay, so often like the homework will be like, okay, video yourself doing that, and then like this we can improve or have comments and everything. But at least themselves they can see. And often you will see that the owner is like, oh my God, I just watched the video back and I just noticed that. And it's great. And sometimes I'm like, it's the best way to become better, like just videotape yourself. And I'm saying that, and I hate doing some video of myself. I absolutely hate video of myself. But sometimes if I want to improve on something, I'm like, okay, let's see where I can improve and how I can improve. And it's the best way, because when you are doing something, you're probably not focusing on everything. But when you are just watching back, then you realize and say, okay, I can improve this one. I can do better on this one.
Great. Thank you for sharing that. I do think video can be a really good tool and hard to get oneself in the habit of doing it regularly sometimes. But when we do, it can be really, really useful. So thank you for sharing that. Could you share with us now about a training situation that you're proud of and or have found reinforcing?
I think it's, as I said, I think like what I was saying about Summer, about like not trying to change her, not trying to change or forcing her to do, well, forcing her, not forcing her, but like for example, like I was teaching her loose lead walking Summer, and at home she's great. Off leave in the park, she's great. Sometimes, like when we come back, we come back from the walk and everything, but she has a walk way faster than mine for sure, and she struggles sometimes. The loose lead walking with her is a struggle in terms of like, okay, you want me close to you, but quite close to you, like loose lead. But I can see it with her body language as she is forcing herself to walk slower, and it's really difficult. And I'm like, actually, I don't mind. Like, I just need to have a longer lead, and you just have to walk back and forth to us to just not drag me. But actually, like the fact of walking really properly, loose lead walking with you, it's not what I'm looking for. I want you to be able to enjoy it, because often, like when she is all tense and try to walk slower, she will just like change and like go for a sniff. And I'm like, you know what, instead of like trying as well to try to feel better by doing something else, redirect a little bit like your frustration, let's let's not focus on that. And the fact that now, before, when I started training, I think I was like, okay, I need like my dog to be the perfect dogs, and I need a you know to be like my dog to be trained because I'm a dog trainer and blah, blah. And now even my husband is like, sometimes don't say you're a dog trainer close to Summer. And I'm like, you know what? No, actually, people need to know that it's okay. It's okay if the dogs doesn't do everything right. As long as she's happy, and obviously like she doesn't bother anyone, like dog or human including. But she's living her own bubble, but she's crazy, but she's living her own bubble. Fine. We have an understanding together. Like, you are living in a human world, and we are like having a dog with us. And I think like taking that off my shoulder and say like, actually, I don't need to train all the super trick with her or anything. It's just like we need to live together, and and having like some cooperation care as well, like, and making her happy about it, or at least like comfortable about every situation, and us as well. And that's why like I'm like, oh, I don't, it's totally different, as I said, to my other dogs, and it's fine to be different, as long as you can see, like she's like she's living like well, and she's happy, she's a happy girl. But as long as we are having like a good understanding, look, I think like for me, like a good learning point for me is just like the same. When often we say like, oh, some owner have a lot of expectations, and sometimes it's really difficult for the dogs to arrive at this expectation. I totally take that on board for my dog, and I'm like, you know what? I have expectation of like what I would love to have my dog doing, and I will try to work on it like slowly, and especially like now she's taking some, she's 3.5 now. Look, she's more calm, and we can do more things. And yeah, and I think that is a big learn curve, saying like, yeah, sometimes like don't try to just make her do things when like she's not really enjoying it. She will do it because you want it, but she's not enjoying it. Why? I don't see the point of that.
I think that is the perfect example of a training situation to be proud of. And I love it. And it reminds me of the beginning of our conversation when we talked about kind of when I asked a society, do we think society has expectations about the way that a dog should behave? And that's exactly one that I would think of is that we think that dogs should walk right by our side as we walk down the street. And it's like, why? Why does that need to happen? If they can be safe and if society can be
Yeah.
safe with
Yes, exactly.
yeah, so I love it.
But even like I give you another example with my dog Sunny or with my dog Sky, I was able to go in for during COVID. I have to say, I was enjoying the fact that London was empty. Okay. And every Sunday morning, I don't know if I should say that, but every Sunday morning from 8 a.m. to 10 p.m., there was no one in London, no one. And I enjoy like every Sunday morning, I was taking either Sunny, either Sky, and I was going and walking, around London with them. And they were so easy. Like I was like even like doing like I have so many pictures with both of them sitting in front of empty Buckingham Palace, empty like Big Ben, empty everything. And I was like letting them saying, stay, going backward, taking picture with them and enjoying like, the thing like you will never be able to do again, hopefully. Um, and uh, and last time I was thinking like, oh my God, I wish I can do that with Summer. But actually, Summer will not be able to do the same thing. She will not be able to enjoy and she will just like be so excited, like she will run everywhere and everything. We will not have the same interaction. But either like she will be happy to be everywhere, but I will be like, she will drag me, or and it will not be the same experience. And I'm like, why will I do, especially like she will not like too much of the tube because she's really noise sensitive and the tube sometimes is really noisy. And I'm like, why will I put Summer on that? Maybe she will be able to do that like in a few months, few years. But I'm not like at this stage of Summer, she will be like, oh, it's not really my thing, mommy. And it's different. Okay, I don't try to make things with her like I did with my other dogs. She's a unique, she's herself, and I'm trying to make, to do what make her happy and let her be happy.
I love that. And it reminds me again of your focus from the beginning on really just understanding the different individuals that we're living with. And I love that you're focused on learning about her, finding ways to make her happy. And I'm going to guess that that's not at the expense of your own happiness, though. I'm going to guess that you're still finding ways to be happy as
Oh
well.
yeah, yeah, definitely. The thing is like I discover the same that training Summer is not as enjoyable as training Sunny or Sky, and not in a way of like, oh my God, she's bloody annoying. It's just like because I can see like she doesn't enjoy, and I'm like, why should we put ourselves to that? Because like okay, because I'm dog trainer, I train dog all day long. I do like one-to-ones and I train dogs, and some dogs love to do things, but I know like Summer needs something else. Because I say like you train your dog all the time. Like she trains me, I train her every day, and we discover new things, and it's funny. Like for example, like sometime when I offer her a chew, I need now, and it's my own fault, but she trained me well for that. I need to offer her two choices. And if I give her just one choice, she look at me and she was like, "What's wrong with you?" And then I offer her two choices, and she will probably choose the first one. But she's like, "At least I have two choices, mommy, and then I can decide." And it's funny because my husband, who is not tuned as well, he's tuned with her, but he's not like tuned with many dogs. And he told me that before I told him. He said like, it's funny how she's always waiting for me to offer her two things before she chooses. And I'm like, yeah, I'm like, and I say, I think it's my fault because I started like that. And now she's like, why are you not giving me choices? Even sometimes like during the summer, I will give choices of like type of water. like either like normal water with a little bit of coconut water, and and she has choices, and she can choose. And sometimes when I give like just one, she was like, I'm waiting for you to offer the second one. Yes, girl. Okay.
I love it.
Funny. And the same like with cats. Like my cats told me so much as well. Donc, as I say, like cats for me, like I'm still learning from cats' behavior. I'm still learning. And sometimes I ask my friend who was totally focused on cats, and I'm like, I send them videos. I'm like, is it normal? Is it not normal? Are they playing? Are they not playing? Donc, I'm still learning with cats every day. They have a good relationship now. And I remember like when we got Savannah at home, Snow and Simba were brothers, and it was easy because they were living together forever, and they loved dogs. Like they absolutely like, oh my god, there is a dog in our house, nice, cool. And Sunny was the best brother ever, and since like they are like super cool with dogs, too cool even, I would say. And when Savannah came, obviously as cats, they were like, we're not happy about what you brought, mommy, at home. You can bring dogs, but you can't bring another cat. And at the beginning, like the first day, I'm like, ooh, Snow and Simba will really not be happy with the cat at home. We put Savannah in the bedroom of my daughter, and I'm like, okay, let's put her back on shade. She had fleas, so let's clean her, do some vaccination, put her on microchip, and let's find her a good house. And one of my friends was like, how that keep Savannah? I'm like, the relationship like will be hard, and I don't want Snow and Simba think like I'm bringing someone else, and she helped me through it because she's like, you will see, let's do some training with the cats. Look, she came at home and she showed me some training with cats, and it took me like 2 months really training them all because Sunny was here, there was like 2 dogs, 2 other cats, and Savannah, and I'm like, everyone needs to be cool with each other at home to have like not me worrying all the time and not them like finding it's hard to live in this house. That's not the point. Donc we did like really slowly training and interaction, introduction, like we really went slowly. And then now they are like after 2 months they were like, okay, great. Simba at the beginning was like, okay, fine, you stay here, but don't touch me. You can sleep in the same bedroom of me, but just don't touch me. And now it's more him as well. Sometimes he go and he say like, hi, Savannah. But you learn, like it's all about learning, really.
It is all about learning, isn't it? Thank you for sharing some about your learning with the animals who you live with us today. I would really like it if you would spend a little bit of time now sharing with us about your businesses. We didn't really dive into that much at the beginning. If you could tell us just a little bit maybe about Sunny Paws, which I love that it's named Sunny Paws so that Sunny lives on forever through your business name there. But do you specialize in anything with that business, or what kind of clients do you see? And do you see them in person or online? How does your business work?
Yeah, look, Sunny Paws, I think it was an easy time where I'm like, okay, I need to find like a name for my company. And Sunny made that happen, like literally. He was the CEO of Sunny Paws, he still is. And a friend of mine one day told me, yeah, but imagine when Sunny will leave, you will still have Sunny as your name, company name. And I'm like, yeah, but it's him who started all of that, and it will be his legacy anyway, Like I'm like, I don't have any issue with having Sunny Paws staying. And actually, like, not at all now, like everything passed. But with Sunny Paws, I'm doing like one-to-one training in London area around my house. Look, I live in Wembley. Look, I have like a big circle of London and West London, North London, And I do a lot on Zoom because I'm specialized in separation anxiety as well. And separation anxiety, really, when you want to help the clients, you must not be in the same room, because I ask them to do some exercises while I'm not here. But I'm like, we have like Zoom and videos. I want to see the body language of the dogs when we do the exercise. But it will not help if I'm in the same room. Donc we do a lot of that on Zoom, which it can be like anywhere in the world, you know. And as you can hear my accent, I'm French. Okay, it can be in French and it can be in English. Like that, and the same. Like sometimes you realize with the time you learn to change the way you think with your business. For example, when there is someone calling me for a puppy, we do a Zoom session first, because when I come to their house, I'm more distracted with the puppy and they are more distracted with the puppy, you know? Look, I'm like, no, let's do a Zoom session where we will go to everything. Look, we see the big picture, and I coach them and teach them different things about dogs, like how to avoid common mistakes, how talking a little bit about canine nutrition, for example, because most of the time we just go with the flow and we don't ask questions, we don't read ingredient, and sometimes the food is not appropriate for the dog. Look, we talk a little bit about that, and we talk a little bit about different things about how they can start properly with their puppies, and I don't need to be there. I need to be there to show them how to train their puppy, and watch them doing it to make sure like it's fine, you know. Most of the time now I have Zoom session, and especially when I train with my clients often, and they're like, "Oh, Raoudha, I need to talk to you about something." Okay, let's jump on a Zoom session, because like this we can think about how we can help the dog. I don't need to be there to see like the dogs. You know, sometimes say, "Oh, do you want me to make him do the bad behavior?" Like, no, we will manage to never let him do that, and manage to make sure like he doesn't have to do that. I don't need to come to see the behavior. We just need to talk through and give you some advice to make sure like it change. And obviously, like many times, like so for so many things, I'm going in because they need like hands-on, I will say, like training and showing them how to do it with the dogs. Because sometimes, like when you talk through, they don't properly, like it's difficult sometimes to visualize. Look, when I come and they see me doing it with their dog, and they see their dogs doing it, they're like, he can do it then. Yes, if you teach him properly. And that is the thing. Look, I'm doing like one-to-one Zoom and in person. And then with my other company now, Global Animal Experts, where we interview or we ask webinars from English speaker experts, and translate everything in French to offer it to the French community. Because there is a lot of experts in English speakers, like in UK, in US, and even like all the research, sometimes they are in English more. We have way more in English than in French. Look, we are trying to be the bridge of the language, you know, the language bridge, where we say, like, oh my God, you know, like when Ryan Cartlage, for example, is talking about a subject, let's make sure the French community have access to that, you know, and they can learn from it, from him. And yes, I think it's we just started, like we started the 1st of January, and that makes some difference, like that change a little bit. We have like few members right now. Hopefully we will do like more marketing and everything, but we hope like it will just bring more knowledge in French. Yeah. This one as well is enjoyable.
Thank you for sharing about both of those business endeavors of yours and about the ripples that you're spreading in the world through them. And I look forward to continuing to hear about how that expands, both with your own individual training business, but also the global, what can you say it again? I'm sorry.
Global Animal Experts.
Global Animal Experts. Yeah, I think that really has the potential to reach a lot more people with this important information about behavior. So awesome that you're doing that. Thank you. And how could people who are listening get in touch with you if they want to get in touch with you, get in touch with you if they want to work with you through Sunny Paws, or find out more about what you're doing with Global Animal Experts?
Look, like any of them. Look, like I have a website like sunnypaws.co.uk or globalanimalexperts.com. And even we have like social medias, but I will say like I'm not the best one. I hope I'm becoming better on social media. I don't post a lot, and I should, but I don't post a lot. As I say, like it's come back to I don't like to video myself, but I need to do more sharing things, you know. But yeah, on my social media or on my websites, anywhere they can contact me.
Wonderful. And we'll be able to link to all of that in the show notes as well. Um, Before we're getting close to the end of our time here, but before we wrap up, I just want to give you an opportunity if there is something that I haven't asked about yet that you were wanting to talk about today, or a last little message that you want to leave everybody with, if there's anything else you want to add before we wrap up here.
Well, I think like I talked already too much, but it's always like I think it's always like a case of growing as a person. Okay, no, like look, I do like I work with dogs since 2012, I would say, and I absolutely not the same person as I was 10 years ago, you know, and and the same, it's always come back as I told you, like when you do better, you know, when you know better, you do better, but also like as a person growing and knowing what you want to share with your clients. And sometimes it's more difficult, you know, just because, you know, like when we say, like, we know, sorry, I change a little bit of subject, but, you know, when we say, like, where, when we learn a lot and we see a lot of things, then our eyes are obsessed with different things. You know, for example, I give you a little example because I learn a lot about body language and the, you know, a dog gait, how he should walk. Sometimes we saw so many issues that we need to make sure the owner is ready to listen to that, you know. Sometimes they're like, no, he was always like that. Yeah, doesn't mean that his gait is okay, you know. It means like he was always having a gait where it's not great for his own health. Yeah, but he's running and he's walking and everything is fine. Yeah, but I can go on with my day if I have like a backache, but I still have a backache, you know? And sometimes with other trainers, like with some colleagues, we and behaviorists, we are like sometimes knowing too much sometimes stop us to do things because we know too much and we want to tackle one thing before another one. But we can see that there is this part, and the vet, you know, the vet sometimes, because the dogs with the owner will go to the vet and the dog will act differently at the vet clinic, then the vet will be like, no, he has nothing, he's fine. And you know he's not fine. And sometimes it's like the difficulty of having a balance of like what's how we can help the dog, but slowly with how the client can hear right now, how the human can hear, and moving forward to help the dogs and help the client arriving, opening their eyes to what you want them to see, you know. And that was as well like a big challenge of like growing in my way of like teaching and way of like helping the human and the dog. Okay, and sometimes some are ready and some are not ready to listen, and you just find your way. And as I say, like always, like it's always like training the human in front of you. Find a way to train the dogs and to go with kind of what they want, but in a way of like at a point they will see it, you know, they will see where you want to end. And yeah, I think like, yeah, I'm totally a different trainer like 10 years ago, which is cool. Like I'm happy, like I'm really glad of my growing on that part.
Thank you for sharing all of that. It actually reminds me, I made a note of something that you said at the very beginning that really stood out to me. And what you're talking about right now kind of reminds me of that, but in a different way. At the beginning of the episode, when you were talking about having quote unquote imposter syndrome, you mentioned many people don't know what we know. And I often hear people talk about, you know, we don't know what we don't know, which is absolutely accurate. And we need to be aware of that. But we also so often don't know what we know in a way that's really kind of understanding of what we know. And so with imposter syndrome, of course, if we don't really have our minds wrapped around what we know, that's going to make us question ourselves. But with what you're talking about right now, that gap between maybe what we see and what the pet guardians are willing to do or able to see or able to change, knowing what we know, and maybe not just what we know, but why we know it and how we know it and how others might not be in that same place, I think can be really powerful to do what I think I'm hearing you say to do, which is shape behavior through successive approximations.
Like yes, 100%. And as well as the thing as well we need to take in consideration is like most of the owner, like I'm talking to most of my clients that contact me, um, they are open to know better, okay? And sometimes when you open their eyes to something, like for example, I will say not anything like, for example, oh, the food is not good. The dog has a lot of soft poo. And when you open their eyes, for example, of nutrition, and like we go and we read the ingredient and we check, the food, and they realize that, oh my God, I was giving something not good for my dog. The thing I try to make them understand straight away is like, no need to be guilty. You didn't know. Don't, no need to be guilty. You did the best you could for this puppy. And now then let's change. And and it's to take the guilt from that, because most of the time when you open your recently I had a client and the dog is sometimes growling to other dogs. And she's like, it's just recent, it's just really recent. And I look at the body, I'm like, oh, can you walk with her? And one of the paw was like limping a little bit, a tiny bit, like really settled. And I'm like, okay, I need you to see that. I need you to open your eyes and see. Look, I describe what I was seeing with the puppy. Look, one of the paw was doing small step, while the other back paws were doing big step. And I'm like, I need you to see the difference. Okay, I was walking the dogs and she was singing, oh my God, it's so obvious now. Okay. And then she's starting to say, oh my God, she's in pain and I didn't realize. And I'm like, I stop you there. Like, I stop you there. She's fine. She was walking, running, everything. Now it's just like she gave us some clue. And I saw that because I learned it. Okay. I learned the body language. And now I'm telling you, look, now I'm teaching you how to watch your dog doing. And then she took straight away on board, like, okay, let's have some video, slow motion, go to the vet, show to the vet the video, and let's try to move on with how we can help the puppy, how we can help the dog. And the same as everything. Most of the owner I'm working with, they open their eyes and they open their mind, I will say, to many things I will offer. Look, once I did with a new client, I did a zoopharmacognosis session just because the puppy was like, they went through two other trainers, and the trainers, like, they couldn't help the puppy, and they said, oh, I'm sorry, I can't take you as a client. And when I went over there, the puppy, like the owners, both owners were having bruises. And they like, yeah, and he was a sweet puppy. But sometimes something will make him react and he will want to come and bite something, like bite. And I'm like, okay, we need to help this puppy now. And I'm like, I don't know where to start because I don't know exactly what's happening. And I'm like, okay, I will sound crazy. I will sound like, a bit you, but let's do a zoopharmacognosis session with essential oils and try to understand where he has like an issue in his body. Okay. And I was trying a different essential oil. Look, I will go short on that. Different essential oils for the pain, for the digestion, blah, blah, blah. And he selected emotion, and he selected exactly something, essential oil for loss or trauma, and separation. And I was like, oh, I can't understand why he's selecting this one, because you told me like you pick him up from the breeder at 8 weeks old. And he came straight from the breeder to you. Donc I'm trying to find like why he's saying that. And they were both on there. They look at each other and like, oh my God, Raoudha, I forgot to tell you. We forgot to tell you. The breeder took the puppies away from the mom at 4 weeks old. And I'm like, that makes sense then. That makes total sense. And we did this session. And then I went back to my day and everything. And they texted me and said like, are you a dog witch? Because he's so calm and he's so relaxed and he's so content with his, and I'm like, I'm not a dog witch, but I'm trying to be. and it's beautiful watching owners as well learning and opening their eyes to what we teach, but stopping them from being guilty, really stopping them for saying, like, oh my God, I destroyed my dog. No, you didn't know better and your dog is fine. We just need to know better to help him and play the detective, find what's happening, and then help him to move on, But yeah, sorry.
No, that's great. Thank you. I'm glad that you added all of that. And when you were talking earlier, that is something in what you were saying that it was really sticking out to me, that when somebody becomes aware of something like a gait, you were talking about a dog's gait earlier and trying to get people to see it, or when to try to get people to see it. And that was something I was thinking about, that, when you see something, and I was thinking about it from personal experience, not with the gait necessarily, but with other things, when you see something and you acquire a new behavior and you know something now that you didn't know before, it can be, guilt can come along with that. And so it's important to try to actively not take on that guilt for what you just didn't know before. So I'm glad that you shared about all of that.
And in the other way around, because sometimes because we know, like, as our work, we know a lot of things. And sometimes for example, I take the example of Summer. She had now I know it's a hormonal issue, but I didn't know at that time. I didn't know nothing about hormones, I will say. And she had a hormone. And the only thing I can say to my vet is like, something is wrong, but I don't know what it is. And he's like, she's fine, Raoudha. I'm like, I know. It's really tough to say, but her behavior shows me that. And I was trying to describe the behavior as much as I could. And I know it sounds bonkers and it's not a big deal, but I know like her behavior changed, but I don't know what it is until I realized it was hormones. And then I educated myself on hormones. But sometimes it's like knowing too much can as well make your brain explode. And I'm like, I know I'm not crazy. I'm not crazy. There is something. Yeah. Anyway.
Well, thank you so much, Raoudha. I have really enjoyed everything that you've had to share today and could just keep talking to you all day. So thank you for joining me today. And from myself, on behalf of everybody listening, and on behalf of ATA, thank you for taking the time to share with us today.
Thank you very much.
We do, of course, appreciate all of you tuning in as well. And if you have enjoyed this episode and are interested in carrying on the conversation about working with the animals in our lives in the most positive, most fun, and most choice-rich ways, then as mentioned at the start of this episode, the Animal Training Academy community is waiting for you. Head on over to www.atamember.com and click on the membership button in the main menu to learn more about what members are describing as the Netflix social media platform for behavior geeks. That's it for this episode, though. Thank you so much for listening. You'll hear from us again soon.